Greetings, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another fantabulous math lesson in Unit 8, 8.2 to be exact, page 326, where we continue with our circles and area unit. And today, we are going to use formulas to find the perimeter of composite figures. And we've used formulas before to find perimeters of a circle. We call that circumference. And to find perimeters of a semicircle. And we might need some of that. And you know what perimeter is. That's the distance around the outside of something. You learned that a long time ago. However, composite figures might be something new to you. So we're going to learn about those. Our essential question would also be, how can you find the perimeter of a composite figure? So, ladies and gentlemen, you were asked to take notes. You were asked to take notes from the top of page 326, the key idea on composite figures and perimeters of. And you recognize and learn that a composite figure is formulated from other basic shapes. Triangles, rectangles, trapezoids, squares, circles, semicircles, you name it. If you put two or more of them together, you have a composite figure. All right? And so we want to find the perimeter, the distance around the whole darn thing. So we just have to count it up. Sometimes we're going to have to make some adjustments as we count to figure out some certain side lengths. And that's where the formulas come into play. Otherwise, it's straightforward. You just count and add. All right, so let's real talk. Here's a composite figure. How do I know it's a composite figure? Because I can divide it up. I can divide it there. I can divide it there. I have 1, 2, 3 rectangles. I can certainly divide it in other ways. Over here, I have another composite figure. We see that we have a triangle. We have a rectangle right down the middle. And we have this parallelogram. Now, ladies and gentlemen, knowing how to find the area of these is going to be very important in a lesson later on. Right now, we're just looking and seeing what these composite figures look like because we only need to find out the distance around the outside. Looking at a couple more composite figures, we have two more right here. We have this one that has a triangle in it and a semicircle on top. And then we have this one. I love this one. A lot of people tell me it's 4 semicircles. Well, how many semicircles make a full circle? That's right, 2. So I say it's 2 circles with a square in the middle. Let's get busy. The first thing we're going to do is estimate. We're going to estimate the perimeter using grid paper. And again, this is very straightforward. All you got to do is count. And when we count, we got to pick a starting spot. Very important, otherwise you count the same spot twice. So I always make a mark where I start because when I get back to that, I know I'm done. And then I just count these little lengths on the grid paper and see how many there are. So I start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So there's approximately 24 units of length going around that figure. Ladies and gentlemen, if I go too fast, it is absolutely okay to stop, pause, write down, and then start up again and listen. And then when I get through with that example, you stop and pause and write it down. Very appropriate. Moving right along one more time, we got to learn something new about this one. Because it does have some very easy to count straight sides. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 of those straight sides. But we have to learn there's some diagonals in there. We got to estimate. And I'm here to tell you, I'm going to go down here and show you. This little diagonal. That diagonal is estimated at 1.5 units long. That's its estimate. Again, we are estimating. We don't have to be absolutely 100% perfect. So I come up here and I see, oh, there's basically 1. I'm going to combine these 2 for 2 and then 3. And then I come over here. It's the same thing on the other side. 4, I have 5, and I have 6. All right? So I'm going to add to that 6 times 1.5. 6 times 1.5 is 9. 8 plus 9 is approximately 17 units. I got to use that approximation symbol because it's approximately 17 units in length around the perimeter of that figure. All right? Very straightforward. Let's get into some actual composite figures and find the perimeter. So here we have a composite figure. You probably recognize right here. I can cut it up, and I have a rectangle and I have a triangle. So that being said, I'm going to go with what I know. I know that this side is 12. All right. I know this side is 16. It's telling me that this little diagonal side is 10, and it has a mark on it. Because that tells me that this side over here is also 10. And then as I continue around the outside, I know this side down here, it's opposite of that side, so it's got to be 16 centimeters. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what is this 24? That 24 tells us the length from this edge of the square to the tippy top of that triangle. That might be useful if we were finding something else besides perimeter. We don't need that for what we're doing now. So now all I have to do is what? That's right, add them all up. So I'm going 12 plus 16 plus 10 plus 10 plus 16. I punch that into my calculator, I add it all up together, and I find that I have 64 centimeters as my perimeter. Going to my next figure. Woo! They already divided it up for us, so I can see we have a square, or no, it's a rectangle based on the units. It's a rectangle, and we have a semicircle. So there's going to be some stuff we need to know. One, this side's 20, that side's 14, and the opposite side also has to be 20. All right, so I can go 20 plus 14 plus 20, and that right there is 54 units we have already. And now we have to find half of a circle. We have to find this outer part of the semicircle. You guys are remembering our last lesson. Circumference equals pi times diameter, but we only want half of it, so we're going to divide it by 2. We're going to use our basic 3.14 to help us find the circumference. The diameter. So now I need to find the diameter of this figure. That's this length right here. That happens to be the opposite of that one, so that means it's 14. All right, so I come over here, I put in a 14, and I divide by 2. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a good mathematician. I don't want to punch more numbers into a calculator than I need to. I can see very quickly that 2 goes into 14 7 times. So now I punch in 3.14, I multiply that by 7, and I get 21.98. I take that and I add it to my 54, and my final answer would be 75.98. And again, I have centimeters as my perimeter. Very cool. Moving right along to another one. Pretty similar to the last one, but a little tiny bit different. It looks like a rectangle, but once again, I see these units are the same. So we have 12 and 12. And, oh, there's a little 2 right there. We have a semicircle, another little 2, and then we have this side here that's opposite, so this down here has to be 12. So let's count up what we do know already. We have 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 2 plus 2. And when we add all those together, we get 40. That's what we're starting with. Now we have to do that semicircle. And to get that, we're going to use our circumference equals pi times the diameter. We only want half. We're going to divide by 2. So now I have to find, what is this diameter here? And how am I going to get that? Because there's nothing opposite that's equal to that. It's not 12, because that's smaller. I heard somebody say it. That's right. We know the full length is 12. We can take off this 2. We can take off that 2. And 12 minus those 2's, that makes 8. So that means that diameter has to be 8. 3.14 times 8 divided by 2. Using my brains, I simplify the 2 into 8 to 4. 3.14 on the calculator times 4 gives me 12.56. I'm going to add that right here to the original 40, and I get 52.56 centimeters as my perimeter. Moving right along. Here's a very basic shape. Ladies and gentlemen, look, we can break this up here and make 2 rectangles that way. Or we can break it up here, make 2 rectangles that way, and that would be very helpful later on when we're doing area. But right now, once again, it's perimeter. So let's get busy with our perimeter. I've got this 3-foot side. I have this 5-foot side, a 6-foot side, a 2-foot side. Ooh, and I have 2 unknowns. So how am I going to figure out this first unknown? I'm going to color it purple. How am I going to figure that side length out? Who's smart? That's right, all of you are. If the full side length at the top is 6, and the length down at the bottom is 3, I can take that right here and notice that that length right there, that's the same as here. It's got to be 3. And then I'm going to use dark blue, and I got to find this one, and it's going to be the same exact way. I've got this 5 minus the 2. This side also has to be 3. Adding them all up, I have 3 plus 5 plus 6 plus 2 plus the 2 3s we already found. And when I add all that together, I get 22 feet as my perimeter. Thanks for hanging with me, ladies and gentlemen. We have one more example before our quick write, and then we're out of here on this one. So here we have another composite figure. I see a trapezoid and a semicircle. I wonder if you do too. If not, take another look. And I can see 3 side lengths that are given. A 17, a 48, and a 15. 17 plus 48 plus 15. I add all those together, and I get, what do I get? Oh, I get 80. There you go. And then I have my semicircle to deal with, and how nice of them. They gave us the diameter. Very cool. So circumference is pi times the diameter. That's 3.14 times the diameter of 30. And we almost forgot we only want half of it, so we're going to divide it by 2. Once again, I see that my 2 goes into the 30. It's nice that they gave us all these even numbers. It doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes you got to use the calculator more. And then I plug in 3.14 times 15, and I get 47.1. And of course, I have to take that and add that to my 80 plus 47.1, and I get 127.1 meters as my perimeter. All right, that's it for the examples, ladies and gentlemen. Here is your first quick write of the night. Find the perimeter of the figure. You have that composite figure right there. You might want to copy it down, draw it, label it. Remember, it doesn't have to be a very perfect. You don't have to use a perfect straight edge. I'm not asking for precision in the drawing. I'm asking for precision in the calculation. So just draw a quick sketch, write those units down, take a quick break, come back and see me for video number 2.